Do you remember your first game? Or your favorite game? How good are you at it? Could you beat it blindfolded? One of my first and favorite games is Super Nintendo on the NES. In fact, I like it so much, I have two. Some say I got it in the marriage, but I digress. Now, according to howlongtobeat.com, the average person takes about 2 hours from start to finish to complete the game. And, as of 3 months ago, on speedrun.com, the world record is 4 minutes, 54 seconds, and 798 milliseconds. The next top three are all within 200 milliseconds of each other. I'd like to give you a little bit more insight into the community and what exactly is speedrunning. I've been playing video games since I was 5 years old, and I'm now 33. You can do the math, I don't want to. I was apathetic when I first learned about speedrunning, but the more I learned, the more I grew and loved it. And I'm hoping to plant that seed in you as well. So first off, we're going to look at the categories that speedruns are put into. From there, we're going to look at some language and some practices. And after that, one of my favorite charities. So first off is the categories. There are two main categories: any percent and glitchless. Any percent is the main one, and when people think of speedrunning, it's the one they think about. If you can break the game however you want to and get the fastest time, that's the fastest time. There are no rules, really, when it comes to any percent. Glitchless, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. You're playing the game the way it was meant to be played. From there, we break it into subcategories. Any percent usually comes first, and it gets broken down into any percent but this glitch. So we're going to have major game-breaking glitches taken away from that any percent run, which develop more glitches along the way. From there, we have some more niche ones, like 100%. 100% means you complete the game from start to finish, 100%, with every collectible and every item you can obtain, meaning everything. And then one of my favorites is low percent, which is a super niche one, where you collect the least amount of items in the fastest time. But whoever collects the least amount of items, if you collect one less item, you're in the run no matter how much more time you take, because it's based on the least. So when people think of speedrun, play game fast, that's not always the case, especially with these different categories that they're involved. Now let's take a little bit look deeper, and one of the main words you're going to hear is frames. Frames is going to come up a lot when we're talking about video games, and it means frames per second, or how many frames of a picture shows per second in the video game. For reference, the NES phrases 60 frames per second in America. In Europe, it's actually 50. Standardized, it's American because it's faster and it's more reliable compared to the European 50. From there, we're going to talk about frame perfect. Frame perfect means that you have an exact frame to land on, to either with your jump, your skill, or your button press. And frame perfect means just that. It has to be frame perfect. Say, for instance, you don't hit that exact frame on the NES, the 1 in 60, then your jump is not going to land, your button press is not going to activate. Something's not going to activate within that frame perfect, hence the perfect. One of my favorite things about frames is the frame rule from Super Mario. Every time Mario finishes the course, he goes into a castle. The castle has a 0.035 check. Every 0.035, it checks to see if Mario's entered the castle. And if he does, it'll let him through. But it's only every 0.035 seconds it conducts this check. Darbian has made an excellent video about this and claimed it as the bus stop energy. So you have a bus that comes to a bus stop and arrives and sits there for 0.035 seconds. As soon as it hits that, it moves on, and another bus appears right then, and it waits 0.035 seconds, and then moves on, and then another bus takes its spot. When you're running, speed running, you can hit anywhere in that 0.035 seconds, and make that bus. So it doesn't matter how good of a run or how poor of a run you had, as long as you make that time window, you're going to have the same time as the person previously. Now let's talk about one of my favorite charities is Game Done Quick. Games Done Quick is a series of marathon games that are speedrun by various known speedrunners. They have raised over $34 million for various charities. Most notably, Doctors Without Borders and the Prevention of Cancer Foundation. Those two, they are actually the largest global donors to them. Just this year, Summer's Games Done Quick raised over $3 million alone. Now, I implore you to give them a look, or at least a little bit of a watch, because they are absolutely fantastic in their broadcasting. Even with COVID, they've turned to a completely online platform and have blown away the records year after year. So in review, we've talked about the categories and the basics of speedrunning. We've talked about some of the names, frames, and how they're used. And we've talked about one of my favorite charities and an active event that you can watch to get to know more about it. So the next time you're playing your game, your first game, your favorite game, and you beat it, take a look at those leaderboards on speedrun.com and ask yourself, could I play this game faster? Could I get up there? Thank you.